Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the press launch in honor and recognition of our 10th National Youth Week. And as part of National Youth Week, we have a slate of activities which we will share with you the details on during the course of this press briefing. Before we get into sharing the details, though, I am Avan Kati, Director at the Department of Youth and Culture, and with me I have a panel of persons from the ministry, from the department, as well as representatives of our various youth organizations. We all form part of the panel, the committee that planned and is currently in the process of executing National Youth Week. So before we go any further, I'd like to introduce or have my PS, Dr. Richardson Lake, introduce herself, and then we will go through the agenda for the next week and share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carty. Good morning, everyone, members of the media and our listening public. We are very happy to be here this morning to launch the National Youth Week. As Ms. Carty said, it is the 10th annual, so this has been going on for some time, and we want to continue to involve the youth in what we do in the Department of Youth and Culture, and in particular during this Youth Week. As was already mentioned, we have a whole slate of activities to mark Youth Week, and I will let the members of the panel talk to you more about that.
Thank you, PS. And my apologies. Immediately on my right is Jemima Romney, and to her right is Janelle Anthony. And I will jump across to Jan and have her introduce herself and let you know of her role here this morning.
Good morning again to everybody. I'm happy to be here. I am Miss Anthony, Janelle Anthony, the Senior Programs Officer at the Department of Youth and Culture, primarily youth. So this week we are celebrating our young people in Anguilla. National Youth Week, it's about our young persons from the 22nd of September to the 30th of September, where we will end with our Caribbean Youth Day, where we recognize young persons within the Caribbean. So we started off yesterday with a church service at the Christian Fellowship Church on the Blowing Point Road. And then today, what we are doing, the press release right now at 9, and we will end the day with the Anguilla Youth Parliament sitting, where they will discuss gun violence and crime at 3:30 at the House of Assembly. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we have what we deem to be the big event for the week, which is the National Youth Conference, where they will be discussing AI and digital transformation. Because the theme for the week of activities we have here, shaping our common future towards a sustainable Caribbean community. And we know where we are heading, which is all about the AI and digital transformation. So this is why we chose that topic with our young persons in mind and what they would have to do as we move into the future of digital transformation. So this is our conference, and it will be held at the Raymond E. Gishad Technical Center Conference Room from 8:30 to 4 on Tuesday and 8:30 to 1 on Wednesday. Different organizations have registered. We have our panelists, and Mrs. Romney on my left will discuss more about the conference. In the afternoon of Wednesday, the 25th, the ambassadors, the National Youth Ambassador Corps, will hold what is called the Straight Up Conversations with the ministry officials from 2 to 4 at the Raymond E. Gishad Technical Center Conference Room. On Thursday, the National Youth Ambassadors also will be holding the open mic forum with the sixth formers. And they are right here on the panel with us, and they will be giving more information about the open mic. On Saturday, we have what is called Youth Unwind, or just a social for the youth organizations, and 4 of the awardees for this year's National Youth Awards at the Anchor Miniature Golf from 6. And we end on Monday the 30th of September, where we again celebrate Caribbean Youth Day and we will be having a roundtable discussion with the Excellency, the Governor, and members of the different youth organizations and the youth awardees. So this is what our week entails. It's packed, it's again to give our young persons a voice, to recognize them, and to show them that we are there to advocate for them. And I want to take this opportunity to ask the young people of Anguilla to come into us at the Department of Youth and Culture, come and share, come and give their ideas, their perspectives of how we could help them, how we could be a voice for them, how we could support them. What are some of the initiatives they want to see happening, the activities, the programs, how we can assist with their development, because it's not about us, it's about them. Thank you very much. I will now turn over to Mrs. Romney, who will give some information on the conference.
Thank you. My name is Jemima Romney. I'm the Center Manager for the Blowing Point Youth Development Center. And I'm tasked today to just go through the program of activities for the conference. It's a 2-day conference, as was said earlier, Tuesday 24th and Wednesday 25th September, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. The theme for the conference is Digital Transformation and AI for a Smarter and Sustainable Tomorrow. We're going to have 3 panel discussions over the course of the 2 days. And we have a few of our community members who have accepted the invitation to come and share in their skilled areas. For the first day, we are going to have a panel discussion with the topic, the creative economy, turning passion into profession. And some of the folks that we have sharing in this panel discussion are Ms. Derenick Smith. She is a social media influencer here in Anguilla. She'll be presenting on the topic, building a personal brand. Mr. Omari Gums of Mars Sim Visuals, he will be presenting on leveraging technology and tools. We have Mr. Clemvio Hodge of the What We Do in Anguilla. He will be presenting on global reach, cultural sensitivity, diversity, and inclusion in the creative industry. That will end our morning session, and in the afternoon we resume with another panel discussion. In this, we're going to have the future of work, how robotics, AI, and tech are shaping your career. So that will be the focus for the afternoon. For this panel, we're going to have Mr. Jose Vanterpool, who will be sharing with us all things AI. Ms. Zolika Fraser of the Anguilla Robotics Association. She'll be presenting on robotics, real-world applications, and success stories. Mrs. Jemiso Grano-Gums, she'll be presenting on emerging career opportunities, future trends for work and education. And finally, Mr. Rudy Webster will present on innovation and entrepreneurship. The mode that these panel discussions are going to be taking is that the panelists will present, but the opportunity will come afterwards for the young people to have a conversation with them surrounding these topics. It's an area of interest for them, and we believe that it's an excellent opportunity for them to hear from those who have been in those fields and gain from the experience. On the second day, we also have another panel discussion, and on this day, we'll have the topic of focus being holistic development through digital communication, benefits and drawbacks. So in this one, we're going to be looking at how our young people interact with the digital space in various areas. The first area is going to be physical well-being. Presenting on this topic would be Ms. Rhodey Richardson, who is a program officer at the Department of Sports. Then we'll have the spiritual well-being aspect of the discussion. Pastor Denroy Gums will lead that. He is the chaplain for the Anguilla Youth Parliament. Then we'll have Ms. Glenisa Franklin, who's a counselor at the ALHCS. She'll be presenting on emotional well-being. And then Mrs. Shalicia Brooks Johnson will present on social connectivity, as her experience goes back to my Anguilla experience. So in these activities, we're going to have, again, opportunities for networking, for sharing of information, and have our young people have an opportunity to ask questions to these presenters. And as was alluded to earlier, the second day will end in our straight-up conversations where young people have an opportunity to ask questions to the government officials. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, Ms. Anthony and Mrs. Romney. Before we move on to our young persons and We are having them speak towards the end so that they can take it over from here. And the moment will be theirs, or the minutes, or the half hour, however long they require to share the work that they're doing and the perspectives of their various organizations. I do, though, want to encourage persons listening. The conference starts tomorrow, so it is not too late to register. We spend a lot of time, and we, not just the members of the Department of Youth and Culture, but guided by the young persons who also form part of the committee. In fact, a very important part of the committee, the topics and the various areas that will be discussed during the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. We were guided by them based on their interests and based on what they thought are the interests of their peers. So I, for one, am extremely excited. I think I'll sit in on as many of them as I can, even though it might be a lot for me to wrap my head around because some of this stuff just seems magical to me. But there are a lot of young persons out there who are interested and may not have the sort of ready access to more information. So we've crafted these 2 days with the sharing of information and knowledge, not just what you can research and get online from somebody else in a remote place, but from persons who are experienced in these areas here in Anguilla and who are working, benefiting, and maximizing. I also, just before we go on, want to share that, as I mentioned in church yesterday, there's a fear in some areas of the world's artificial intelligence. I remember the debating, the Leeward Islands debating committee. Our young people had opportunity maybe 2 or 3 years ago to discuss AI and the fear that especially older members of the community would have of those words. And we can see the damage that AI can do. And I'm saying this because I remembered somebody mumbling in church when I presented that it's the Antichrist. So, there is a real concern, and we are going to depend on our young people to help guide our thoughts and their own thoughts and the direction that we go as a community with regard to how we interface with something that is not going to go away. So I just thought I would put that there. So again, please, if you're listening to me, we do have space. The only reason why we have a registration is because we provide lunch and we need to know how many to cater for. Other than that, every single young person in Angola who is interested is welcome to come. But do please check our website, our social media spaces, or call us if you're interested so that you can register so that we can have your lunch and refreshments for you. Okay, and now I'll pass over to our young people. We can go down the panel as they are seated. So the next person and our first and only male on the panel, Mr. Karani Vanterpool, will introduce himself further, and then you can go down the table from there, and I will sit back and let you lead the conversation from here.
Yes, thank you. Pleasant good morning to all. I am Karani Vanterpool, the Premier of the Anguilla Youth Parliament. In light of this year's Youth Week, on behalf of the 4th cohort of the Anguilla Youth Parliament, I would like to extend an invitation to you, the audience, to attend our third sitting at 3:30 sharp this afternoon at the House of Assembly. And for those unable to be there in person, it will be live streamed via our Facebook page at the Anguilla Youth Parliament. We also have with us the AG of the Parliament, Angelique Hazel. And yes, so I would just like to say, as young persons, we do recognize and appreciate the emphasis being placed on our development. I would like to briefly highlight the utmost emphasis on the growing support and how much it means to our journey as young persons. The realization of being heard and acknowledged means everything in the shaping of our future tomorrow. As youth parliamentarians, our aim is to address and even provide feasible solutions to the issues we face today. Sure. Through advocacy, we aim to influence change, as well as through interactions with fellow youth advocates, both locally and regionally, all with the intention of steady growth and development. I would also like to briefly encourage all young persons throughout the nation to not be afraid to stand up and project, have a voice, because we deserve to have a voice in today's day and world. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Angelique Hazel, and I'm here to represent on behalf of the National Youth Ambassador Corps. We, the Ambassador Corps, we pull together a diverse of skilled young persons, and since the inception, we have matured to be an independent program within the National Youth Network. As a national level youth body, we aim to hold a representation that our stakeholders can be proud of, to build the respective trust and confidence of young persons and government. It is important that we deliver results, but the way we achieve them is equally important. Our vision is we are the island's young persons, we are the forefront of policy decisions and informing young persons' perspective. As an expert component of the decision-making process. The mission, we are a inclusive youth organization that evaluates the voice and roles of all young persons within the National Youth Ambassador. Our identification is we identify issues, impact young persons, develop, inform our youth-based positions throughout participatory processes in forming national and regional policies, directly representing a dominant demographic position in the forum, where policy is being created to effect positive change in Anguilla and the region. We are also will be representing ourselves within the Open Mic Forum. We will be discussing the topic of navigating social media and digital spaces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Shanti Minar, and I'm a representative of the Anguilla National Youth Council. The Anguilla National Youth Council is an autonomous organization dedicated to the voices of the youth being heard. Since its establishment, the Council has served as a national body to protect the interests of young people while also advancing in the general welfare and social progress of Anguillians. This week, we are excited by the range of activities that align with our mission and this year's theme, shaping our common future towards a sustainable Caribbean community. As we embark on these activities, I encourage everyone to actively participate, take full advantage of our opportunities, and contribute to shaping a future for Anguilla that is smarter, more innovative, and sustainable for generations to come. On Friday the 28th, we have a Youth Unwind, an event hosted by the Anguilla National Youth Council in partnership with What We Do in Anguilla. This exciting event will take place at Anchor Miniature Golf in Island Harbor at 6 p.m. And must I say, I am most excited for this. It promises to be a fun and relaxed environment, and I encourage all the Anguillian youth to come out and participate. This is your chance to unwind, connect with others, and enjoy a great time together. As we move through this week of activities, let's all keep the theme in mind, shaping our common future towards a sustainable Caribbean community. Together, we have power to drive change and build a future that benefits not only ourselves, but the entire community. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the week.
Thank you, Ms. Mina, Ms. Menzel, and Mr. Vanterpool. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your involvement, your participation, and as I said earlier, it's not too late beyond this press conference to rally your friends and your colleagues. These are some very important activities, I can't stress the importance of the National Youth Conference. I would like to share here that over the years we have got recommendations from the conference as well as from the Youth Parliament, which our government, I want to say the adult government, the government of this island, have taken into consideration. And as you were speaking just now, I remembered listening to the regional news this morning, and I checked, thank God for AI. I checked, there is an article that came out of Jamaica, and they had since last year, a task force set up to conduct AI research and provide an evidence-based foundation for development of a national AI policy. Okay, so this is something that governments all across the world, certainly right there in Jamaica, they recognize the importance of this, and it is an opportunity for our young people coming out of this week to craft proposals and suggestions to assist our government in doing whatever is required, whatever the next steps are at that level to craft our national AI policy and have it reflect the voices of our young people. So don't miss the opportunity. Very often, and I use the expression a lot about bringing young people to the table, having your seat at the table. We at the Department of Youth and Culture, we mean this when we say it in the ministry, when our PS says this, these are not just words, but you need to take the opportunity to put your butts in those seats and to have your voices heard. Okay, so I don't want to hear you didn't get an opportunity. We are providing it, take advantage of it. Okay, so at this juncture, I'm happy for us to receive questions from the media. There's more that we can share, but we've all been talking all morning, so this is your opportunity. If there's anything that has come out of this morning's presentations that you would like for us to expound on further, please do let us know.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's Youth Week and we know the young people are movers and shakers. Are you spreading the word through the primary schools? Are they engaged? How do you intend to engage the young people? Is this week fully focused on the AI? Maybe some members of the parliament, are they visiting the school? Just to get the children really excited and further educate them on the theme for the conference, the focus of the conference on artificial intelligence.
Yes, we haven't primarily gone out to them and share the word, but what we do is via our social media platforms like our personal Instagram accounts, WhatsApp pages, and what's not, we would share the flyers. And generally, to get persons involved with what we're doing in our movement, we do emphasize on first-handedly speaking face-to-face to get their concerns, what do they recommend, what are some issues that they are facing, and we do, our overall aim is to help and address them in the most way possible.
Are you feeling the impact, are the young people feeling the impact of the Anguilla Youth Parliament? Do you think you're advocating or raising or amplifying your voices more so it can really reach the young people?
Yes, that's definitely the goal, and recently I got sworn into the Parliament in June 6th, and this will be our third session, kind of all first debate and what's not, so we do aim to achieve such.
I know this afternoon's topic is gun violence. We've seen, unfortunately, some negative videos coming up from the school. Like, how active or what are your plans for the Anguilla Youth Parliament in terms of reaching our young people?
Yes, so we are right now in the works of, I and members of both the opposition and government, we're in the process of creating an initiative. It will be named the Silent Voices. And what the aim of that initiative will be to encourage persons on school campus, because all of us are students, encourage them to come out and reach out to us. And I feel like they'll be comfortable to reach out to us, especially because we are young persons just like them. And yeah, just so their voices can be heard.
Okay. Ms. Scotty?
Yes,
Yeah, I look between you and the PS. I saw a story a couple months ago from the Caribbean Development Bank, and they reinstituted the Cultural and the Creative Industries Fund. Are we able to get funds? Are we able to be able to pull funds from that allocation as well for the young people?
Yes. Not only the young people, it's a regional fund that's accessible to SCRIF, to, yes, to Anguilla as well, because I know some CARICOM options are not, because we are just an associated member, some are not, but this one is. We have never tapped into it. We haven't tapped into it as yet. We have shared opportunities with our creative practitioners because we do have a database, but you have to you have to write up your proposal, present it, and then they would be from across the region. So whichever panel makes the final decision, they will make that decision. So thus far, we have not had success for Anguilla, but the short answer is yes, it is accessible to us.
Could you tell us about the other financial institutions perhaps that we, as in DYC, we, that you all work with in terms of trying to really help our young people in their business?
Within the Department of Youth and Culture, we have the Anguilla Youth Business Foundation, which has been around for, I'm terrible with dates, so I don't want to misquote, but I think I can safely say about 12, I don't think it's 15 years as yet, it's about 12 to 15 years. And it's been working steadily. Many young persons would have benefited from grant funding because we partner with the Anguilla Development Board to make up to 20,000 EC dollars available. 25 is 10,000 US available to young persons. But again, there's a process. You have to submit your proposal. ADB has a member on staff dedicated to supporting them in preparing that proposal. And there is a committee that will review it. And then the grants will be made available. Some young persons actually don't even necessarily want the funds so much as the training, because we provide training in budgeting, marketing, PR, and the various aspects that would be required to help someone run a successful business. So I think the one local grant agency that comes quickly to mind with regard to supporting young persons in entrepreneurship, creative, or anything, is Anguilla Youth Business Foundation. And just a plug for them that we are coming towards the end of preparing our youth incubator. And this is a proposal, a project that has been in a book for years, even before 2017, because the site that we had identified to have that incubator was severely damaged in Ormo, and it took us this many years to find an alternative site. So we are there. We've been working assiduously for the last 4 or 5 months, furnishings. It's coming along beautifully, so you'll hear more about that, but by the middle of October, I think it's safe to say, we will be launching that youth incubator, and it's a preparatory space for young persons, young entrepreneurs, they can rent space, they can come in and just borrow a laptop, well, no, not borrow as in take it out, a desktop, use a space to do whatever they need to prepare for as often as they need to until they have their own space. And as we become more comfortable with AI, which is what this conference is about, persons may not even need a physical space, once you have your laptop, your tablet or whatever, but you may need an air-conditioned place to sit for a few hours if your bedroom is in that air-conditioned space, and the incubator will make such available. So more to come on that going forward.
I think just to add on to what Ms. Carty said in terms of agencies that support our work, regionally there are some development partners that assist governments and departments, and by extension, the young people. UNICEF is a perfect example of that, United Nations Children's Fund. And they have offered us support. They helped us in developing our youth policy, for instance. And then the Commonwealth Youth Program also is in a CDB. So there are some regional entities that do support our work, and we're grateful for that.
Good morning, James Oregon from Anguilla.
Good morning.
I have a question about years past. Years past, how have the activities for Youth Week in general been accepted among our youth in general? How have they been accepted? The feedback that you got?
I thank you for that question, Mr. Harrigan, because I have a note here to speak to something, sorry, that we're experiencing more over the last couple of years. In the beginning, Youth Week was really the beginning, 10 years ago. It was really a huge event to the extent that the events that we required registration for were often oversubscribed, and that would have been the National Youth Conference, as well as our the awards, the National Youth Awards. We have seen a falling off in both, to the extent that this year we've had to cancel it, and that is, like I said, what I was going to speak on next. At the end of our extended deadline last Wednesday, we had 4 nominations, just 4. And we have 14 categories. And there were 4 in 4 different categories. So without a robust process to identify winners, because this is a national event. This is an event where we want to be confident that the person we award are not selected because they are friends of friends,
Right.
but based on the information provided in the nomination form, the committee would then sit through and select the persons and it's an independent committee, it's not the Department of Youth and Culture staff. And that committee would sit sometimes for hours, oftentimes for hours, and select the winners across those 14 categories. So it was extremely disheartening for us to realize that we would have had to cancel. And truth be told, in 2022, when we had our last National Youth Awards, we saw a slide in interest, and so we opted to not have it every single year. We thought that it might have been the frequency was too great, and so this year would have been the first time since 2022. Last year was a gap year, and we've had even less interest. So we have got to do some introspection ourselves. It might be that we are not reaching the young people using the 10-year-old method. It might be that young people, I know they've certainly expressed a concern that the nomination form is onerous, that they would like to nominate people, but the form is asking too much. So we have to review all of that, but also juggle it with the reality. Everything can be minute rice and microwavable. There are going to be some things that will require you to sit down for 10 minutes. If it's worth it, it's worth you putting the time. But maybe that's the old-time view. I don't know what is in your perspective. We will have to listen. But I think part of the role of the over 35s in a community is to prepare our young people for the real world as well. You can't babysit your youth, because the real world will not, like I have been saying, following us having to take this decision, to complete a passport form is not going to take 10 seconds, unless you're going to pay somebody else to do it, which people do. To complete your ESTA is not going to take 10 seconds. So there are going to be things in life that will require that you sit and focus, be prepared. Sometimes you might have to save it, go away and come back because you didn't have all the documents you needed that they're asking information for. So I think we do have a responsibility to assist young persons to realize that they do have to make some time commitments and some brain space commitments to some things. But equally, we have to also look at how we are doing things and see, where that balance is. So to answer your question, it used to have a greater impact, we think, than it is now having. And we do need to figure out how to reach those persons who we are targeting, because we think it is important. If they tell us it's not important, then that's something we have to visit as well. Maybe they don't want a youth awards. Maybe they don't want a National Youth Week. But we have to do some self-examination.
So you're going to still continue the youth awards for this year?
No, not with 4 nominees. Yeah, we will do something to recognize those 4 young persons. Governor Julia Crouch has offered to host them, and because I had to share with our government leaders that we had to cancel it. It's an event that they have generally supported and looked forward to. And when Governor learned of that, she immediately said, is there something we can do? So
that will come at the end of the week.
It would have been on Saturday. Yeah.
Another question in terms of the region. I'm glad you mentioned about Jamaica being involved in national EI policy. Jamaica has been a trendsetter in certain areas of technology. But how tied or connected are we to any affiliate youth association or youth department within the region? Do we have affiliates?
Yeah. Both of the divisions in the Department of Youth and Culture, so we have Culture and Arts, and we have Youth, and I am a member of the CARICOM Youth Directors Chat. We communicate monthly, and same thing. Culture, not as often, but certainly if we need guidance, sorry, if I'd like to learn from their experience, they're just email away.
Of course, we have our CARICOM youth ambassadors. They are connected to the rest of the region as well, so
Absolutely.
that's another important connection we have.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say your progress has been going through the past 10 years? On a scale of 1 to 10.
With regard to
With regard to your activities for Youth Week.
That's an interesting question. We have several different activities. So the parliament has grown by leaps and bounds, and their sittings, tend to attract a lot of attention. So I would say our youth parliament is at an 8. The conference depends on the year and the topic. I'm not sure what we're going to look like this year, but the conference has tended to be quite well attended. 6 or 7, depending. In the earliest years, we would have up to 9. And in the oversubscribed years, an 11. Yeah, so it depends. I mean, we have something almost every single day. Straight up conversations, which is where our government and ministers, opposition, and sometimes PSs, they all are happy for the opportunity to interact directly with the young people, literally as we are across from each other asking questions. That's an 11. So, overall, if I do those 6s and 11s, I say overall we're at an 8.
You're average.
Yes, I think we're at an 8 generally.
Okay, last question. In terms of your output, how would you say you're doing generally to the regular youth and I?
Are we speaking about the department now?
Yeah, the department.
If I could just
Sure,
answer
please.
that.
Yes.
I'm actually quite proud of this department. I think they do incredible work, and they have a very, very ambitious work plan, and they meet their goals. So I would say that yes, they've done excellent work. Your question is really, does it reach young people and how does it impact them? And I think that may be a more difficult thing to measure, but I think we're certainly on the right track. But like Ms. Carty said, we have to. The things that aren't working, we have to reassess. We have to sit back and reflect on how we might do things differently to get the participation that we want.
Because just as an aside, some youth may feel as if they are inferior, if I should use that word, and there are elites that you cater to. And I think it's essential to reach those youth who might feel kind of disenchanted in one way or another, right? So my last final question.
Before you go on though to your last question, it's an opportunity for us to share, and I note how the conversation has swung over to the over 35s. The young people out there can better tell you if we are reaching them, number one. But again, the department has a slew of programs. So we have Job Link Up, and Job Link Up is for our young persons who are vulnerable, those who may not have completed school, those who have come into contact with the law, and it is exclusively for them. And we find placements for them in the workspace, and many of them have been retained, and able to maintain themselves. And we have young persons on our youth parliament who one might not expect to be on the youth parliament because of their history, someone who may have come in contact with the law and serving in the youth parliament. So if there is that sense of elitism, for want of a better word, out there, I think sometimes we get caught up in stuff in our own heads, not to be disrespectful of people's thoughts, because those are what you perceive is real to you. But we are here, so come and ask us. Come and if you're not social media savvy, just climb the stairs. We are right there in the valley, and the office, I might be biased, but I think our office is warm, welcoming, and we make ourselves very available. And we also have 4 community centers And that is the purpose of the centers, to reach everybody, vulnerable, English as second language. So if you're vulnerable because you don't speak English well, we can assist with that. We are the Department of Youth and Culture, and we are there for everybody. So, but can you please now see how our young people feel?
Yeah, my last question was this.
No, Mr. Harrigan, please. Give them an opportunity if
Yeah,
you wish
so
to.
I do believe they're doing very well with the reach. They reached me.
Yeah, but you might be one of the elite ones. Elite academic for sure.
Might be you might be an elite.
And I believe it's an individual something. It goes to persons and they have to make the decision as to whether they want to take the risks and be involved in these things. And I would say most times.
Would you call it risks?
Hmm?
Would you refer to that as a risk or the adventure?
An adventure. That's a better word. That's a better word.
Adventures have risks.
It's not part of that adventure.
Right.
Go forward to it, yeah.
Yeah, I would say fear is one of the main reasons why young people shy away from these opportunities. And one of my overall, aims was to not allow fear to be the reason why I will never be remembered. So I always step head first, and I will encourage others to do the same.
Wonderful.
You're the premier. How long have you been in this role?
For a few months.
For a few months.
Yes, I got sworn in on the 6th of June.
Okay, so it's relatively new.
New, yeah.
Okay. I'll say some things off camera.
Before we move on, I also believe that we have a wide reach, but it also depends on the media that you're consuming. That also depends on how you'll be able to see or be like the DYC to be reached, or our mission to be reached. So it really depends on the media, in my opinion.
Do you depend on social media a lot? I think you depend on social media too
Yeah.
much.
But that's actually,
And that is where they are
actually
at
with
now.
the reach is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Important.
reach.
Like not even a lot of people nowadays are using WhatsApp. It's more so the TikTok and the Instagram and the X. So these are like different medias that I have been seeing our content being pushed a lot on, and it has a lot of reach, especially with the paid partnerships. So it realistically shows up on a lot of people's platforms, and
So it's
they're
an effective tool.
yes.
I will also say that from my experience within the Department of Youth and Culture, I, as a person who was in school, I was very shy and that kind of thing. I would say nicotine and also the fact that you put yourself forward to actually say you want to do it. You have to want to do it, because if you don't use the nicotine that we have, it's like it's not even a cost. You understand? So I say, let me just put myself forward to say that I would try to be more out there, benefit me in terms of being able to speak properly, being able to know how to carry myself within society. I, as a individual, I joined the department way before the inception of. I became the youth ambassador, no, the youth exporter program, because I finished school with my subjects and everything, but like I say, I was very shy, so I didn't have much experience. I started out as a youth exporter, and then after from the exporter, I also got the opportunity to also connect with the electoral district, and then that how it become a little bit more experienced and a bit more open. So I would say youth can also try to advocate for themselves. We don't have to always depend on the adults to tell us to do it. We should want to do it for ourselves, for the positivity that it brings for us.
In other words, you have to be determined, right?
Yes.
All the time.
Are there any plans of perhaps, I don't know what happens in the other region, but maybe even a cultural exchange, where we can even have guest speakers from overseas come in at times for Youth Week?
We have had, sorry to interject. I'm feeling like the most experienced person here. Except for the peers. But yes, we have the last, not 2022, so it might have been 2020. And up until that time, we used to bring in people from overseas. We had a gentleman from Jamaica. He was a CARICOM youth, Joyce told me, CARICOM youth something, liaison or something.
Yeah, and then there was a gentleman from St. Lucia.
Richard Borwick, and he came, he interacted at conference, he presented, he interacted with students at WISE. So this is something that we've done. And we've done it digitally. During COVID, we had different presenters from overseas. And just to also recognize that sometimes we get a little dismayed when we don't see the responses that we want. But just 2 weeks ago, Caroni and Electa Career, who is also a youth parliamentarian, and a couple other young persons with Miss Anthony and Mrs. Hyacinth Bradley, they went across to St. Martin because St. Martin, they're working on their national youth policy. And the consultant who supported us in our work see us as an example, a resource, and they invited 2 over. We sent 4 persons and 2 adults, five persons. And so, and guess what? I learned from their report that this is a national conference that was being planned. They invited us over as presenters and persons to lead. And then they had, 4 people turn up?
Yeah.
5 people turn up?
8.
So 8 people turn up. So again, what we're experiencing is not just us, no cancellation, but sometimes when I heard that, I realized that we just need to keep plugging and reach more so that we can be on the same page, but realizing that we're not in that alone. So it probably brings me back to what you asked, James, in terms of probably coordinating and collaborating more with our colleagues so we don't become too disturbed, and we can do more with what we have and perhaps engage the young people even more to reach out to their peers.
My last question was based on the fact that you have canceled the award ceremony, which was everybody look forward to it. So my last question is, what plans or strategies do you have now to try to salvage that event for next year?
First of all, I don't know if we'll be able to do it next year because what we did is alternate National Youth Awards with National Culture and Arts Awards so that the department wouldn't be clashing in the 2 events. Then of course there's resources, but that's not the main reason. We could always find more if we needed to, but to a certain extent, I think we don't like as a people to nominate. I am pretty sure if the Department of Youth and Culture were to pick you and you and you and you, 15 persons and have an awards, we will have an event.
Yeah.
But that's not what it is. We need you as our public, not only young people, but parents and teachers, whomever, to nominate. I shouldn't, as a director of Department of Youth and Culture, sit with my youth committee and say, well, Caroni is good, he's outspoken, he's strong, he's a good student, let's nominate him for this. Because there might be somebody who we have no clue about because they are not on our radar. So that is why we need a nomination process. And I think as a people, we have to accept that this is where we need to go to make sure that everybody is recognized. If we do it any other way, then I'll be accused of picking my friends or my family, right? So the short answer is we probably won't have one next year. But we recognize that, like I said before, we have got to step back, spend some time with some young people, or a cross-section of young people, and have them guide us as to how they see us moving this event forward.
I want to also add with our division, the youth division, we are planning on doing a regrouping and reviewing because we're heading into 2025. How many people thought we would be heading into 2025 back in the day? And for us in the division, we have seen I've been just here for a couple months in the division, but then you see youth participation. And again, it's not only in Anguilla, it's throughout the Caribbean, throughout the world. Youth participation has been declining. So for us in the division, we are going to do a review. We are going to meet with persons in the National Youth Awards Committee, look at the awards we are handing out, look at the process of nominating persons for the awards, and also youth participation. We have to look into the social media, not Facebook, not WhatsApp, but having a person to do only social media for us in the division. I think that is one thing that is very important. It will come with funding, but everything, money, it will come with a cost. Funding, we need money to do these types of things. But it is important. Digital transformation is important in this time for young persons. So we are looking at different ways to get our young people back because we need to get them off the phones too. Because this is where they are. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your support, your perennial support. We can depend on you at the department. I think that's probably government-wide, to support us in getting the word out. Before we completely wrap up, are there any last words from anyone on the panel? Any of our young people want to say anything before we wrap up? No, we good?
I personally would like to say thank you guys so much, the viewers online. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I really hope to see a lot of the turnout from our youth in Anguilla. This is an opportunity that is this is something that really is needed in Anguilla, and we all need to come together and just show our interest, because if we are not more present in our future, we cannot really complain about how everything turns out, because we have we need to be more hands-on and involved. So we don't bite. Personally, we don't bite. We don't think that we're better than anyone. We all think that we're on the same level, and we all basically went to the same school. We've all just been together in general. So don't be afraid. You guys can speak to us. You guys can talk to us on social media. Would you like to plug your social media first?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Facebook, Kiran Vanderpool, the same on Instagram. And yeah, like she said, we don't
spell that.
KERONNI Vanderpool, VANTERPOOL. You can reach me on Facebook. You can. I will even give my number. 164-583-1648. You can always reach out. We don't mind.
True.
And I would like to also thank everybody for having this event, also to reach out to the youth and let them know that we, the ambassadors, do have space, so don't be afraid to come and join the initiative. It is for your future and our future, because we are young people, so we have to do it together. So don't be afraid once again, and thank you for tuning in.
Also, my social media is Shanti Maynard on Facebook, Significantly Tate on Instagram, and I'll also plug my number, 1264-772-3111, so you can reach out to us.
Any other social media handles to be shared?
Well, not social media, but just as a grassroots level, coming from the community, just like to encourage young persons to do visit the community centers and share how we can support you. There are lots of programs that we do offer. Homework support is just one aspect. We're here to support youth and community, so we encourage young persons to reach out to us as well.
I want to just thank the young people for being here and for speaking up and for lending their voices. It's so important. And I want to put a plug in for the conference tomorrow. You heard the lineup. It really sounds interesting. So I'm slightly older than 35, but I'm going to go and hear a bit more about it. And I encourage young people to do the same. Thank you. Thank you, media, for being here to help us promote.
Yes, and one last thank you. Thank you to the DYC, the Department of Youth and Culture, the government of Anguilla, and all who come together and present these opportunities for us as young people.
Awesome. I would also like to invite persons out this afternoon, so just view our debate and come and see what we have in store for you guys. Just come on out. Don't be afraid.
So tell them we're Angelique at the Noralda Harrigan Parliamentary Building. Sorry, that's the House of Assembly. That's for the third meeting of the first session of the fourth Anguilla Youth Parliament. All of that to say, the Youth Parliament is meeting this evening. They're discussing crime and violence. Be there, 3:30 p.m. at the Atlin Noraldo Harrigan Parliamentary Building. Oh, I didn't want to say anything after the young people, but Book of the Week. This is an integral part of our National Youth Week. This is where our primary school children get involved. Yeah. We identify books. We is Joycelyn Mills. She identifies books that are relevant and germane to the topic being discussed. She speaks with the schools. They identify young persons. They record them every single day. Starting today, you will hear a little snippet about a book that should interest our young primary schoolers on the topic this year, shaping our common future towards a sustainable Caribbean community. So a whole lot going on. Do check in with us and do come out and support everything. Thank you all. Anybody else want to say anything, or we can wrap it up here? Okay, thank you all. Thank you all so much. I think we should give, yes, last word to somebody under 25.
Just one more thing, a special thank you to God.
Amen.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you
That's
all.
essential.
Yes, everything.